There's this tool you use every single day that completely shapes your reality, and you probably don't even think about it. And nope, it's not an app or some new gadget. It's perspective. It's not just for authors writing a story, it's for all of us, living one. So today, we're going to explore how mastering the art of seeing through different eyes can change, well, absolutely everything. Listen to these lines from a poem called The Other Side. Maybe there's more to the story, a reason you didn't explain. Maybe I judged too soon. Oof, we've all been there, right? That little pang of doubt when you realize your first impression, that snap judgment, might not be the whole picture at all. Of course you have. We all have. Our brains are basically wired to take a quick snapshot of a moment, and then boom, we write a whole story around it. But you know what? That story is almost always incomplete. The fix for that quick judgment is to just pause, to make an intentional choice to see it from another angle. And that skill is exactly what we're going to break down today. All right, so to really master this, we're going to borrow a few things from an author's toolkit. Think of these as 4 different cameras you can use to view any scene. Once you get the hang of these cameras, you won't just see how stories are put together, you'll actually have a powerful new way to understand the people in your own life. Okay, first up, we've got first person. This is the I story. When a character says, I couldn't sleep, you're not just watching them, you are them. You're literally trapped inside their head, seeing only what they see, knowing only what they know. It's the most personal, most immersive view you can get. Now, next up is probably the rarest one. And honestly, it can be a little unsettling. It's the second person, the you story. When you read something like, you must remember to stay calm, the narrator is pointing right at you. You're not just a reader on the sidelines anymore, you're a participant. It's super intense and direct. Then there's third person limited. Now with this one, the narrator is kind of like a camera floating just over one character's shoulder. You're watching them as a he or a she, but you've got this special VIP pass into their mind. You know all their thoughts and feelings, but only theirs. Everybody else is a total mystery. And finally, we zoom all the way out to third-person omniscient. This is the all-knowing, kind of godlike view. The narrator isn't stuck with just one character. They can pop into anyone's head anytime they want. They know his secret fear, her hidden hope, and the big misunderstanding that's keeping them apart. You get to see everything. Okay, let's see these in action. Let's look at this table together. The first one, I couldn't sleep. That keyword I is a dead giveaway. That's first person. Then you must remember. See how it's talking directly to you? That's second person. He felt nervous. Well, we're following he, and we know what's going on inside his head, but nobody else's. Classic third person limited. And last one, they both hoping, because we know the internal hopes of both of them. That's our all-knowing third-person omniscient. See? Easy when you know what to look for. All right, now this is where it gets really fun. We're not just going to identify these points of view. We're going to use them to actually change a story. Let's try a little exercise I call Flip the Story. Think about the story of David and Goliath. We all know it. From David's point of view, it's this epic tale of faith and courage against impossible odds. But let's flip it. From Goliath's perspective, he's a champion warrior, the best his army has, and he's being publicly challenged by some random kid. The story instantly shifts. It goes from being about heroism to being about, what? Annoyance? Insult? The event is the same, but the truth of the story totally changes depending on whose eyes you're looking through. So what really changes when you flip this story like that? Well, everything. The hero can suddenly look like a fool. The monster can become the victim. The facts of what happened don't change, but the meaning, the emotional heart of the whole event gets completely transformed. And this brings us to the most important point of all. Understanding point of view isn't just a nerdy literary exercise. It's a fundamental skill for, navigating the real world. It's about taking this whole idea off the page and putting it into practice with the actual people we deal with every single day. This idea is deeply rooted in wisdom that's been around for thousands of years. This verse from Philippians says it so clearly. Look beyond yourself to the interests of others. It's a direct call for us to practice empathy, to shift our perspective from me to we. So why is that so important? Well, because our own point of view is, by its very definition, limited. It's like trying to see the whole world by looking through a keyhole. When we make the choice to look beyond ourselves, we get a fuller, more compassionate, and frankly, a more accurate picture of reality. We start to move from judgment to understanding. And the payoff in our real-life relationships is huge. I mean, when you genuinely try to see where someone else is coming from, you can stop an argument before it even starts. You're not just waiting for your turn to talk and defend your position anymore. You're actually trying to understand theirs. That simple shift turns conflict into connection. Because for the first time, maybe, the other person feels seen and heard. That's the foundation of any real communication. Okay, so let's take this one step further. If shifting from one human's perspective to another is that powerful, just imagine what happens when we shift to the ultimate, highest point of view there is. There's this amazing moment in the book of Job. After all his suffering and all his questions, God finally answers him. But he doesn't explain everything. Instead, he shows Job his heavenly point of view. And the message is so clear. The view from up there sees the whole beautiful tapestry, while we're stuck down here looking at a single tangled thread. And this brings us to the core truth we really need to hang on to. Sometimes, trying to see from another perspective won't change the hard facts of a situation. The event is still the event. But it will always, and I mean always, change us. It grows compassion, it brings clarity, and it builds wisdom inside of us. So, what's the real goal here? Why are we connecting a simple literary tool like point of view to these really deep questions about life and morality? Because, well, true learning isn't just about collecting facts. It's about building character. The idea behind it all is really simple, but it's powerful. First, we believe that knowledge and character have to go together. Because, really, what good is being smart if we don't use that intelligence to make better choices? Second, when we use what we know to avoid choices that hurt ourselves or others, we know we're on the right track. And that leads to the final step, peace. The kind of peace of mind that comes from aligning what we do with a deeper sense of understanding and compassion. So I'll leave you with one final practical challenge. As you go about your day, just pick one person. Could be a family member, a coworker, even just someone you read about online. Whose story could you try to see a little differently today? You know, the simple act of just asking that question, it might just change you. Thanks for exploring this with me.